Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It is Tuesday, August the 6th. I have to remind myself what date it is, what time it is. It's early in the morning here at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, and I'm with my beautiful collaborators and co-hosts, Pia and Cullen. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
Hi, Kornelia. Thank you.
So good to have you back. It's so good to see you again. It feels like to me, like I haven't seen you guys in a couple of years.
It does feel like it's been quite a while.
Yeah,
right?
That certainly fits in with how we feel about time these days. Certain days seem like they buzz by in a matter of seconds or minutes. Other days seem to drag on. And what you just explained is absolutely part of our lifestyle. We don't know what day of the week it is most of the time, or even what month it is. And it just goes any way it seems it wants to go.
And Cullen today, I said, Cullen, we need to remember to do so-and-so. It's time to do that again. And he said, didn't we just do that last month? And I said, no, that was last year. So it's hard to tell.
It is hard to tell. It's hard to tell because it's just I think we are on a multidimensional level, viewing everything from such a multidimensional place. You know, what happened to me this last Friday is something that hasn't happened to me. I mean, I've been doing my radio show on Fridays with Transformation Talk Radio for 7 years, every Friday at 12 noon Pacific time. And on Thursday, I had the thought that because I made plans for Friday, I was going to Seattle with my nieces and nephews that were flying in from Florida. And I had known about this, that I was going to be taking them and going to Seattle with them. And so I had made those plans with them 2 weeks ago. And on Thursday, the day before the trip, I remembered, oh my God, I have the radio show to do. There's 4 guests that are scheduled. How could I have forgotten about that? Right? It's like, that was kind of jarring. That was jarring. So thankfully they know me over there, and they know that I'm usually on time and that I can be counted upon. And then I had to, call and say, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to make the show because I made plans to go have fun. So it was great because they were able to reschedule it and everybody could understand. But those are the kind of things that are going on. Would you agree with that? These kinds of experiences?
Absolutely. If you walked into our kitchen or our office, which are on 2 different levels of the house, you would see Post-it notes everywhere, because I simply can't remember all of the details of everything we're supposed to be doing professionally. And it's not because I have early onset dementia or Alzheimer's developing. It's just that it's overwhelming at this point to remember all the things that need to be done. So
I think there's a reason for that. I think that we collectively, all of us on this light journey, are being taken out of the planning mode and put into this is the now moment. So we have to put sticky notes around to remind us of the important things that are future oriented, because absolutely the now moment takes up everything. And I think that's good. It's really good because we pay attention to what we're doing. We give it 100%. We're not thinking about what we're going to make for dinner or what we're going to do next week. We are right there in the now moment. And I think it's on purpose that we're not remembering the details, and we have to put things around to remind us.
That's exactly it. I'm sorry. I just want to say, because that's when I was explaining this to, I had to explain this to my mother because she was aware that I was supposed to do my show. And so I had to explain that. And I go, I think what's happening is exactly what you just said, Pia. We're so in the moment. We're so in the moment. We're not in the future. We're not thinking about the future. We're so in the moment. And that's what happened. So what were you going to say, Colin?
Well, we even have a huge whiteboard that has so many different appointments, so many different schedules on it. And even that whiteboard that I can look at right over here to my right, even with that, I still need the Post-it notes or even a scrap piece of Xerox paper that also has things scribbled on it. So it's a reality at this point for many of us. And I think part of what Pia was explaining is we used to think, we had a belief system that we had to keep all these details crammed in our minds. And I think actually our brains are changing where all of those details cannot be cataloged or cannot be in a Rolodex in our minds anymore. It just doesn't fit. It just doesn't work anymore. So
It's not supposed to.
We need to do exactly what both of you just mentioned, is be in the now, but also be aware of what we're supposed to be doing maybe a little bit in the future.
Yeah. I think a little bit in the future was like literally the next day. It's like, oh, tomorrow. And then, wow. Thank God I'm not one of those people that thinks, oh, I'm old or having Alzheimer's or whatever. No, it was like, wow, I'm so in the moment, fully present in the moment with all of my being that was the only explanation. That felt good, Pia. It felt good to, come to that. I want to tell the audience, people that are just tuning in for the first time, let's introduce you. So why don't you and Colin share a little bit about the work that you've done for decades on this planet and the work that you're doing. Go ahead.
Okay. Go first.
Well, we are what we would describe as sensitives. We're both highly intuitive and empathic, and we've been like this since we were children. And we did things as kids that other kids just either weren't interested in or weren't involved with. We were in contact with other realms, the fairy kingdom, what some people would call the little people, or different groups or different kingdoms of intelligent beings that often little children are said to have invisible friends, and their parents deal with that for a couple of years. Then they say, okay, Johnny and Jill, I think it's time you grow up and maybe you don't need your little invisible friends anymore. Well, for Pia and me, that didn't work because they weren't invisible friends. They were real, absolute, connective beings from other realms or other kingdoms. So we started out on sort of an interesting beginning.
So we've been speaking to fairies, little people, angels, people who've crossed over, and interstellar beings since we were little tiny tots. That's been part of our life. However, professionally, we took big girl, big boy jobs. I was a clinical psychologist and an alternative health doctor. And Cullen?
I was an anthropologist and archaeologist. And we were, although we were still involved in all these metaphysical things all the way through our educational experiences and our professional lives, we were still involved in personal way with all these other activities, but we were also professionals. And then one day, lo and behold, which was a long time ago, we were approached by a group of interstellar beings, and it was a little shocking, and at the same time, actually kind of normal, because it wasn't abnormal for us.
The shocking part was we pulled in from dinner one night. We had gone out for dinner, and we were sitting in the car talking, and Cullen still had the headlights on, hadn't turned them off yet. And all of a sudden, these 6 figures walked across in front of the car and kind of looked at us. And I looked at Cullen, and he looked at me and said, "Did you see that?" Yeah. And that was the beginning of a real communication, a real relationship with these beings who now, the modern world calls it channeling, because they come through us. They used to come through both of us simultaneously. They decided that was a bit distracting, because people thought it was like watching a ping pong match or a tennis match to see if we were saying the same thing. So they elected to use my voice. So now, even though it takes both of us for them to bring their message through, they speak through me. So that's a major part of our work.
So we went around the world for years bringing this group, or maybe they were bringing us. I'm not really quite sure how this worked, but we were flying in airplanes, and they were probably flying alongside of us. We did that for years. We were so busy that we had identical suitcases with pretty much identical clothes, always sitting at home, because when we'd fly home, we'd be home for maybe one night, 2 nights, and we would turn around and leave again, throw our dirty clothes and our old suitcases down in the laundry room, start again fresh, and go back out wherever we were going, all over the world.
So we have written books. We have 9 award-winning books now. 8 of them have won Golden Awards. The 9th one hasn't. It's too new to be in any award categories. We have a card deck with interstellar wisdom in it. We've done calendars. We do workshops. And I am branching out a little bit, doing alternative health and spirituality-based workshops. I just finished one this past weekend that was so successful. I think I'm going to repeat it again, because people are asking for more. So I'm going to put it in a different time zone to reach more people in other global locations around the world. But I'm reaching out to help people in that way also. We do consultations for people with whatever problems they've gone on, and we do personal sessions where they can talk to our Pleiadian friends. So that's pretty much what we do.
That's an extraordinary work. That's great work that has been delivered to this planet, and certainly has been a ripple effect to so many people, and really has served so many people around the world. And that's really awesome. I like your new work where you're branching out, Pia, what you're doing with that. So I think it's wonderful. Do you foresee your work expanding from this place, or is this the new part that you're talking about now, that this workshop that you just did? Do you see that momentum growing, or what do you think?
Well, what I can tell you is that this particular workshop was so well received that we've been asked, can you do it again? So that's about as far forward as I can see at this moment.
Yeah.
But we are open to all possibilities of how we can serve, because people need whatever we bring.
Yeah.
I think another aspect of answering your question is, because the world is changing, this third dimensional experience we're having is changing so rapidly. So many people are either confused or even frightened, or are simply looking for more information or more wisdom as guidance, that what we're seeing, not just with our work, but with other professionals, that colleagues that we have, we're seeing that the work is evolving. And I think probably we couldn't say exactly today, right now, what it will look like 6 months from now, a year from now, 18 months from now. But I do think more and more people worldwide are going to be asking for more help, more guidance. And I think we will continue to do what we've been doing, but I think it will metamorphose into different ways of bringing wisdom or guidance. So I think some of what we've done will continue to do, but it will change, and we will be able to accomplish maybe even more important work as the months and years go on.
People need guidance, people need assistance, and people need support, and they need non-judgmental acceptance. And in our service, what we try to offer is all of those things, from what better perspective than getting it for someone who's not living in 3D, but a group of interstellar beings who are looking at what humanity is going through and who can tune into the vibration of anybody they're working with. That's just really, really a wonderful thing. We have more, we call them voices from the light. We have more voices from the light than just the Pleiadian group that we work with who come through. And it seems that more and more of them are speaking up to offer varying perspectives. It's really pretty much the same message, but it comes from different perspectives. And that is expanding also. So whatever they want us to do that seems for highest good for all, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah. And you've been doing that. I find, like with everything that you've created, all the works that you've created, your calendars, your deck, your books, all those structures are in place. And now, like you said, people need tools, people need guidance, people need wisdom. And you have all the various ways in which people can say, oh, I want this. Oh, I need this. And you can offer that, whether that's through personal sessions, whether that's through workshops, whether that's through the books that have already been written. And those books that you've written, they are phenomenal wisdom, education books that really serve and help people to remember who it is that they are and why it is that they came here, and not stay stuck in the lower mental fears of what they've been living, that we came for this time. And I find that right now things are really amping up. Like it feels like, to me, it feels like everything is extreme. Not to say that it hasn't been intense, not to say that it hasn't been busy, not to say that, but like right now, I just feel this collective urgency. It feels like urgent, like it's urgent. And then also we are sitting with the exposures of all the things that are being exposed on the world stage, things that are being exposed, the whistleblowing, all the things that are coming out. And I think you're right with, we need to be in place, in position, so that we can support those people that are being exposed now. And all of a sudden they're going to be like, what? What? How do I deal with this? How do we deal with this? And then offer a sense of, the tools and the wisdom and the calm, right?
Well, most of what you're talking about that's being uncovered now are things that Lark, our Pleiadian interstellar friends, they told us this 20 years ago. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. And so Cullen and I are just watching it. We're just witnesses. We've always known, we could feel something was going to happen. And then our friends told us, you can look for this, you could look for this, you could look for this. So we feel that we are prepared, ready for whatever needs to be done. We're just here to do it.
It seems to us that possibly the work that we have been doing, I tried to explain this a minute ago, but I want to add one more element to it. The work that will need to be done might be much more important in the near future, even though future doesn't really exist, but we have to use human languaging to talk about it. It's possible that the work that not only Pia and I will be doing, but the work you will be doing, and all of the people who are helping humanity at this time, that work may be much greater than what has already gone by, what has already been used to help people. I think it's probably accurate to say maybe we haven't really even begun our real work, because things are changing so radically rapidly that it's possible that the kinds of help that will truly be needed aren't even understood yet. I mean, there's all this talk, all the technological things about med beds and AI and all these other technological things are one thing. I mean, those things are happening. The people who really believe in science, who really believe in technology, are running down that path, and that's great for them. But the metaphysical, the spiritual development that's also happening, that not as many people are involved with, I think will surpass the technical, medical inventions or technology that is being invented now. I think people are going to need to rely on the spiritual, the heart-based, the metaphysical evolution, which is much more important than technology. And I think we're going to see a great divergence, a great split between what is called modern technology and modern medicine, and either ancient wisdom or wisdom that we don't even know yet, that's coming from the stars through the change in light, the change of vibration, the change of all of the things that we kind of look at as unseen, that are real, but that we can't really put a name to yet at this point. I think we're going to see a great change of more and more people going down the spiritual path than the technological path.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it makes, I mean, I hate to even use this word, makes sense, because it doesn't need to make sense. But I'm relating because really that is what happened for me through, I went down the spiritual path, and through going through the spiritual path, I ended up healing myself. I ended up remembering who it is that I am. I ended up, moving into soul embodiment. So when you're on that spiritual path, that's where that work is. That's where you meet the shadow. That is where that deep pain, those emotional core wounds, the mental, traps that we've been trapped in, all the, false limiting beliefs. And it's been the spiritual path. Without it, that's why, like right now, how I feel, my work has been, an ascension guide. So I am showing the way of what it looks like to be a guide in ascension through my spiritual work, through what it is that I'm doing. And then I do various other things like life coaching, business coaching, podcasting, and different things like that. But the main thing is that I feel right now, the way I feel richer than the richest inside myself, because that is the wisdom that I feel like I have attained, integrated, realized. And that is something that I'm taking with me, right? This is not something that's in my bank account. This is something that it's here, and it's real. And that feels like home in that sense.
It's what you're explaining is absolute liberation and freedom, because we can let go of the shackles and the dominating paradigm of all the things we've been taught from childhood, all the misinformation, all of the belief systems, all of the things that we never should have accepted, but we were told to. We were told, this is what you must believe in. This is what you must know. And whether that's from a religious point of view, a corporate point of view, an advertising point of view, a governmental point of view, an educational point of view, it doesn't matter. We have been fed, and this is a big word to use, but I'm sorry, I'm going to have to use it. We've been fed a lot of lies from the very beginning, and going deeply inside, as you just described, is the only way we can liberate ourselves to the point where we can clearly see who we really are. And that's what you just said, to really see our core, to see exactly who we are, where we came from, and what our mission is. And if we don't go inside, if we don't step away from all of the things that don't work in our lives, whether that's addictions, erroneous belief systems, whatever the things that keep us from being truly ourselves, the more we shed those things, the more liberation we will feel, the more trueness of spirit or the more trueness of soul we will experience. And many of us can't live without doing that. I mean, it's just, life is too uncomfortable. Life is too limiting to not go down that path. And it's been said, one of Pia and my favorite sayings is, once you put your foot on the path, you can't take it away. You can't take it off. You can never go back. When you know who you are and the direction that you want to be going in, you can't stop it. It just won't work. You have to keep going. And I think a lot of people are frightened of that because they're afraid, and this will sound funny, but they're afraid they'll lose themselves to who they think they are. But the opposite is actually the case. They will find out exactly who they really are, and then they won't want to get back into that old loop of not being themselves. So it's a really interesting paradox of, once we begin this process, it just goes on and on and on. And we get closer to source, our intuition increases, our empathy increases, our compassion increases, everything opens up for us.
You know, when you were talking about they may be afraid they're going to lose themselves, it reminded me of, when you start a relationship with a partner or whatever, you start falling in love and you resist the thing because you're afraid you're going to lose yourself in the relationship or whatever. It's the falling in love. It's really falling in love with who you are. Falling in love, that is what you're afraid of, is falling in love, realizing that you have personal agency, that you have personal power, that you have sovereignty, and that there's nothing outside of you that has any power over you. And that's the part I think people are afraid of, is to really tap into that. And so what have we been doing all these years then? Numbing ourselves with addictions, distracting ourselves from all of these things to keep us from remembering who it is that we are, so that we can really fall in love and tap into all of the gifts that you just described. And there is many more gifts that we're not even aware of yet that are still coming online.
Well, one thing that I would add to what you just said is that we have a very Hollywood version of what it is to fall in love. And that's what causes people to think that they're going to give up their power, lose themselves. It's because of that Hollywood version. When you really, truly fall in love, you fall into sharing who you are. And there is no fear about what you're going to lose because you're so much in love. All you want to do is give. That's truly falling in love, very differently than distracting yourself with addictions and patterns and Hollywood fantasies and all that kind of junk that we've been programmed with. That's just not real love. Real love is having so much to give that you can't wait to give it away.
And that is the greatest love story that's ever been told.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is that book.
Mm-hmm.
That is that. Yeah. Go ahead, Cullen.
Well, it's funny. I don't want to interrupt your thought, Kornelia. What were you going to say?
I was just going to, say it again.
Well, so it's really funny that Pia brought up Hollywood. I was just about to interject that what we're talking about is pretty much against the picture of what Hollywood has created around the world. Hollywood has done a great disservice to humanity. It's not just the distraction value of thinking that we sidestep our own lives by looking at and feeling as though we can be part of someone else's magical fantasy kind of life. I mean, that's what movies do for most people. the interesting thing is that Hollywood has absolutely distorted real life, true life. And it's not just the love part that both of you were talking about. It's about Hollywood making it look like everybody's beautiful, everybody's rich, everybody has the best job, everybody has all these things that, for the most part, for the average person, is really pretty much unattainable unless they go inside. So Hollywood, go ahead, Pia.
I was just going to say, Hollywood encapsulates all problems can be resolved within an hour and a half time slot.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God all of that is going away. Thank God all of that is falling away. I mean, there's just so much. And I really like what you said earlier as well, when you said maybe our work is just beginning. Maybe it's just begun. And that's the piece. You know, it's interesting because now where I'm sitting now, you know, last year at this time, I was still in such a completion phase in my own life, like completing, closing chapters, closing chapters, closing chapters. And at that time, I was very consumed consciously with being present for closing those chapters. And I made sure in my own life that I'm going to look at every stone, everything is going to be closed out, closed out. So at that time, I wasn't even I didn't even have any thoughts about, do I even have any energy about anything new beginning, because I was like, oh my God, this is so much. So, but since that time, with doing such great work and closing the chapters and revisiting the things that need to be released and let go of, the things that were hard, the hard lessons, all the things, and now to be in a new place, to be in such a new place of again, the curiosity of what's next, and not having to have the plan, not having to have it figured out, being in a beautiful place. It's so exciting. I too did a workshop not this last past weekend, but the weekend before that. It was a beta test of something that I was rolling out, and it has to do with inspiring people to be legacy makers, make their life meaningful, and create legacies in their life that has value and meaning, and also capture that wisdom so that they can support the generation that they're leaving behind with roots, and leave that wisdom behind. And as you, Pia, I also had a lot of, there was 20 people. It was a physical and it wasn't online, which was new for me, because a lot of times I've done a lot of things online, but this one was in person here in my community where I live. And it was very well received, because this was a beta test. I was just, I created this beautiful binder and put together an opportunity for people to really capture their life in 5 categories. And then it turned out to be really, really great. So I'm excited myself now about this. Who knows how this is going to go and where this is going to go, and how I'm going to be supporting people with their legacies. And that's really exciting. And we'll see how it unfolds. Yeah.
Well, I think creating these new ways of helping people is going to grow and grow and grow. I think there have been so many workshops over the years. I mean, countless workshops worldwide where people get together, they all have a good time. They get a workshop high for the weekend, and then they go home and they fall back into their pretty much safe routine situation. And I think because those workshops didn't really give people the inspiration that you and Pia are talking about, I don't think it gave people the tools to really make changes, to really do something that's more realistic. And I think that's part of the change we're going to see, is more and more people are going to create workshops and podcasts that actually help people radically change their lives, not just a feel good, pat everybody on the back situation, but an actual way of helping people make a difference, do something else, do something different. And I think we're going to see more and more of that.
You know, I was standing there when I was doing the presentation. I had 30 minutes to go over what the binder was all about, each binder that the people were getting. And one of the things that I said to everyone, do not go home. I said those words. Do not go home and put this binder in a drawer or in a box or in a closet. Keep it out on your counter, put it on the coffee table, and be willing to work with this work that you came here to get, because many of you that are here have been wanting to do something like this for a long time, but you haven't done it because you felt stuck. And now that you're here, now here it is. It's here for you. But don't be like, okay, you're like so many people that go to these workshops and then you don't do anything with the information that you signed up for. So those words came out of my mouth. The other thing that I experienced for myself personally, it was a really big deal for me, because I've done workshops in the past over the years and all the things, but because of my own healing, my own growth, my own self-work, all the work that I've done, and embodying my energy, I actually felt like I was in such a soul embodiment presentation in the physical that it was like that was the first time that I ever experienced myself in this physicality. It was a very, 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 I was like electrified. It was such a trip. It was so great. You know, when I look back, like, what was that? What was that? And then what it was is that, yeah, you're feeling fully embodied, and now you're talking to people and you're totally in your shine. You're totally shining. And you're not preoccupied with any other works that you shadow works. You're totally embodied. It felt, again, like such a liberation. So we have so much to look forward to. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you all about today is I had written down 3 things that I feel that the collective is going through right now. And I thought what would be great, if we talked about this. So the number one thing is, you know, Cullen, you called it earlier mission. I call it dream. It can be whatever it is, but not to give up on your dream, not to give up on your mission. And because I feel like the collective right now is feeling like they want to give up. And I would like to flip that and encourage everyone to transcend that energy. So would you speak to that?
Well, the first thing I would say is the collective doesn't even have a dream. They're caught so much in the loop. They don't have a dream to lose because they're caught in the loop of the illusion. I think your message is to those who are here to do the work, not to the collective. And it's a good mission not to give up on the dream. But another thing that I would say is don't put limits on the dream either. Don't try to navigate it, control it, direct it. Put the intention out there, this or something better. Leave it open-ended. Have the intention, have the dream, have the goal, have the mission, and then leave it open for the universe to give you this or something better.
Well, I think that's a really good perspective also. And it's possible that, I've said this over and over again for years, we really can't have a dream unless it's possible for it to come true.
Mm-hmm.
And if we keep that in mind, the dream is there to guide us, because if we dream it, it will come true. It's not an if possibility, it is an is possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important to realize that even if it takes longer to realize that dream, and that's where people lose. I don't really like this word, but I'm going to use it. That's where people lose faith, or they lose trust, because they have the dream and they want it to become reality as quickly as possible, because we all want that. But we live in a 3D world, even though we may be approaching and sometimes in a multidimensional world, there are still 3D elements, 3D challenges that can get in the way of these dreams coming true. So I think you're both right. I think we can't give up on it, and we have to let go of the expectation of time.
Absolutely, Cullen. Absolutely.
Just stay with it and realize that it will come to fruition. It will happen.
Trust.
Absolutely. I mean, there are things in my life personally that I've known would come true, that I've known about for over 50 years. Some of them have not come true, but I know that they are going to come true. And so I have kept my patience about me, and I realize that part of these things come much more quickly than others, but they will all show up at the appropriate time.
And they also may not show up the way you anticipate them. They show up in their own presentation, timing, and the way the package is wrapped.
Yeah, that's really good. The whole piece about not giving up on your dream could be said to even going to a workshop. If you're going to a workshop to realize your dream, like what is the dream? And then you go home and then you give up on it and don't have that faith and that trust and that knowing. It's that type of energy. And right now, more than ever, we need you to step into what it is that you're excited about, what it is that you came here to share with the world, what it is that you want to realize, and to not give up on that energy, because that energy also, we're dealing with a lot of different things coming at us 24/7. There's a lot of different things and things that can throw us off track. And we're here for the greatest. We're here for the best. We're here for the highest. That's what we came here to experience. And especially the, I want to say the ascending souls, the people that are here, that are conscious, that have been working on this for a long time, even the people that feel like they're still stagnant and there's no movement happening. But there is something that is waiting for you to realize and for you to take action upon and for you to be excited about, so that you can share, like Pia said earlier, share yourself, share yourself, share your gifts, So the main thing is not to give up. That whole saying is, don't give up before the miracle happens. It's kind of like that. Or if you've ever been in a place where you want to, you need to manifest some money or you need to manifest something. And Cullen already said it, let go of time. Trust and know that you ask and it is given. It's right.
I've got a great, very short story. I was listening to a man, a very wise man, a long time ago, probably 40 some years ago. And he said that when he was 3 years old, he was taken to a park. This was in Scotland. He was taken to a park where there were beautiful trees, beautiful flowers, and he had an encounter with some fairies when he was 3. And so this man grew up, had a professional life, and he was back in that same park, possibly even on the same bench, and he saw the same fairies. They hadn't changed. They looked exactly alike. They had been. And the man said to the fairies, "It took me 63 years in waiting for you." And their reply was, "Well, wasn't it really worthwhile?" And he said, Yes, he said, I now know more than I knew when I was 3 years old. And seeing you again has re-enlivened me. And now I understand more about why you've contacted me. So he kept saying over and over again, it took me 63 years for this to happen. And I really enjoyed that because he never gave up. He never gave up. He probably went to that park, God knows how many times, sitting on that bench, waiting for them to show up. But it took 63 years for it to happen.
That's a great story. That's really a great story. And that's, I mean, the things that we're realizing today, you know, what we want to live, the dreams that we want to realize have been a long time in the making, even some longer than 63 years, some lifetimes. I mean, and that's the piece, is that we've made it this far and we are, you know, still here. And now we get to realize what it is that we've always known. We've known this, you know, even in my journal, this last new moon energy, I was writing down that right now I am required to, again, take a huge leap of faith. Me, myself personally, I'm required to take a huge leap of faith. And yes, I know that I am. And that I know this. And so that's that faith and that trust that you're talking about. That is that energy, and to live in that energy, because we don't want to be overcome by the fears and the doubts and whatever else is being thrown at us. We really want to live and vibrate in that energy of trust and knowing and receiving, right? So that we can give out that beautiful energy that we want to so freely give. So one of the other energies I want to talk about is personal planetary survival fears.
Everybody's got their own idea of what they're most afraid of. I would just summarize it by saying fear is the opposite of love. Get rid of all your fear. You have nothing to be afraid of. You're always safe. You're always safe if you go into your own heart and you listen to what the world is asking. So there's no point in focusing on fear at all. It's the opposite of love. It's not going to take you where you want to go.
There are so many theories being thrown around about what's going to happen. Is the world going to blow up? Is there going to be a catastrophe? Are there going to be climate changes? Are there going to be tectonic plate changes?
Is there going to be a nuclear war? Is the financial system going to crash? Who cares?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's
Let go of it, because you're safe wherever you are and whatever you're doing, as long as you tune into the energy of love. Love will guide you. That's all you need.
And the thing that's really important is to realize that basically we are consciousness, and consciousness never dies. Consciousness never goes away. Even if we lose our body in a catastrophe, all we do is change form.
We're still okay.
We're still who we are.
Yeah.
We just move to the next step. We move to the next train station, and we get on a new train and we go somewhere else.
So basically there is nothing to fear.
So if consciousness can never be destroyed, and every lifetime we lead develops that consciousness to a higher and higher state, a higher and higher vibration, then it never really truly matters what takes place, because we just keep rolling with any and all experiences that happen to us.
Yes. Yes. MD says, yes, I have friends prepping. They are looking for land to build a bunker. They want to save their bodies. Let go. Yes, you are safe. Love will guide. Yes. Love will guide us. Yes. Thank you for saying this. Yes, because that is the energy right now that is out there in the collective, that tremendous amount of fear that's out there, of personal and planetary survival fears, that is palpable out there, and that Pia said, if you focus on love and you bring yourself back to love, and all of a sudden in the present moment, you are safe and you are fine. That's the peace. And that's how we're transcending that energy. And the more of us that can unite and vibrate in that energy, that's our responsibility. This is what we need to do right now, is to neutralize that other energy that's there.
Absolutely. And that little thing we do that you're describing absolutely makes a big difference. It ripples out. It connects everybody and everything to that energetic thought that we're all okay, basically. It's all going to work out one way or another. And it's never going to really be a catastrophe. It's only going to be the manifestation of change is all it will be. And that's an easy thing to swallow, I think. I don't think it's a hard thing to go, oh, well, if my consciousness continues, then I'm okay. There's nothing to fear.
Yes. So that's good. So we just, again, neutralized and talked about this energy openly so that people can remember, hey, you're fine. It's going to be okay. You're going to be okay, especially on the world stage right now with all the different things that are being exposed. The other thing, yeah.
I have a t-shirt in 3 different colors that says in big bold letters, everything's going to be okay. And when we go out in public, I wear one of those t-shirts. Just get the message out there. Everything's going to be okay.
I need one of those t-shirts to wear. Yeah, that's a good idea, is to wear one of those t-shirts, is to wear it and proudly be in it. That because people have got that look. They're all preoccupied with that energy. Like MD said here, her friends are looking to go into a bunker. That's what that collective consciousness is. And that's the part that that's not what love does. That's not what we're being guided to do. That's what fear would have us do. And we have to remember that we're the creators of our reality. We're the ones that are creating it with every thought, feeling, with every emotion, everything that we're putting out. So the last point I wanted to make on today's call was letting go of attachments to human suffering.
That's a biggie.
We are not supposed to, on this journey, be attached to anything. Mary Magdalene says over and over again when she comes through, she says, love it all. You're going to be tested. Love it all. Each experience you have is for your good. So if you're attached to something you don't want to lose, you're out of balance, because you're supposed to love the losses just as much as the gains, because each one is an experience to teach you, to expand you, and to help you grow. Attachments are addictive. We're supposed to be open, free, expanding, not clinging to. When you cling to something and attach to it, your whole essence contracts. When you let go of the attachment and you expand, then you can really appreciate what you have. And if something is gone, you can be grateful that you had that experience. If somebody leaves, you can say, I'm so glad I had the opportunity to know them, to love them, to experience with them. Being attached to them is a contracting experience. It's not soul growth.
Yeah, I once heard someone say that whenever she left her partner or her husband, that she missed him as soon as he left to go on a business trip or whatever he was doing, maybe even to the grocery store. She would say, I really miss his energy. I really miss him. And we ended up having a conversation about this. And I asked her, well, why do you miss him? Isn't he with you always? Isn't he in your heart? Isn't he part of you all the time? And she said, well, but I miss just not being around him physically. And I said, well, did you ever think about the fact that how we love someone or how we're involved with someone isn't just physical. It's the energy of that attraction or that connection with another person. Aren't you still just as in love with him, even if he's across the world? And she goes, well, of course, yes. And then I said, well, so what is it that you miss? If that love is always there, why are you so attached to him being gone when there's no distance, there's no barrier, because you're still connected? And she thought about it and she goes, oh, I see what you mean. I don't have to be attached to he's not here physically right now because we're still connected. And I said, yes. I mean, it limits you, because if you're worried about him or you're missing him while he's gone, you're not living your life. You're occupied with that attachment to something you think isn't here. And that's taking your life energy. That's taking your energy away from doing other things that you could be doing that are life-giving, that are supportive. And she went, I never thought of it like that before. And that's what we're talking about. Yeah. Attachment to something is being in an uncontrollable situation where you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel safe because you think you've lost something, but it's never lost. And it doesn't matter what the attachment is. It could be a person, it could be money, it could be a pet animal. We're all connected always. We don't lose that connection simply because someone walks out the door.
That takes us back full circle to what you asked at the beginning of this show of what do we do? This is the kind of commentary, suggestions, we don't give advice, but suggestions about how to see things from a different perspective that we offer when we do personal sessions. This is part of our work, is helping people to see from a different perspective, to free them so they can really be who they are.
You know, the other piece about the attachment and also human suffering is also this is also something that can play out. And that is, let's just say you are really, really happy and joyful about something that you are in, or whatever, in a relationship or something going on in your life that you're really feeling joyful, but someone that you love is suffering. Someone that you know is hurting. And that is also important to know, that not to drop your joy, not to drop yourself because there's someone else in your life that is suffering. That's another piece, because a lot of humans do that. They think that, you know, by dropping where the person is also suffering, so then they both join together and suffer, instead of not doing that, being conscious of not doing that, that I can be with my person and have compassion for that person, and I can be with them and I can love them, but I can still be in my joy at the same time. And so we can see all around us that there's humans that are suffering out there. How is it then that we can be in our joy and vibrating high and be in our passion and be in our energy? That's exactly what it is that we need to be doing, is to be in that energy, to be simultaneously with both, you know, on this planet of duality, right? Because we are living on this planet and both are playing out.
Well, you're describing balancing those two things. You're speaking exactly of balancing. Yes, we can have empathy. Yes, we can have compassion, but it can't draw us down. It cannot draw our energy down, because then we can't send out that positive energy. We can't send out that love and light to the person that's in a suffering state. Absolutely. That's a whole topic we could talk about for hours. Suffering has a reason for being. It's not an accident. It's not a random thing. People suffer because of experience that they need to have.
And maybe we should pick up on that on another show and share more about that.
I think that's a good idea. I think we can pick this up again, because the human suffering thing is, when you're a victim, victims look for victims kind of energy, suffering, it's, yeah. So there's a lot to talk about that. But for now, I think we covered a really great ground today. And again, very deep and insightful communication conversation that supports us right now at this evolutionary time on the planet, and to not give up on our dreams, to stay the course, and to remember that love is here, and that we are here, and that we are fine, and not to attach to human suffering and, give our energy away. So Pia and Cullen, do you want to share your website and let people know how they can look you up and also find you for the great works that you do?
We have two websites. The first one is LARKMA, LAARKMAA.com. And the second one is Pia Orleane, PIAORLEANE.com. And we also have a YouTube channel called Pleiadian LARKMA, spelled the same way, LAARKMAA YouTube. Pleiadian LARKMA YouTube. So you can find us on those three sources, and you can look at all of our things that we have to offer, and we look forward to meeting you or seeing you again.
Absolutely. I want to thank everybody for listening and tuning into the show today. We're going to be back here next month, which will be September. It's hard to believe that this year has gone by, but that's what happens when you are not in time. It's like, wow, we just show up. We just show up. We show up and do our best. Thank you, Pia and Cullen. Thank you, audience. Thank you for listening and tuning in. MD, thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. And we wish you a wonderful, wonderful month, and we'll see you next month. All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everyone.
Bye-bye for
Bye.
now.